another episode of the Enoch generation, a generation that walks with the Lord. Today in our studios we have with us Dr. PRISCILLA Kumari, who is a retired vice principal from one of the leading colleges in Chennai, India. She has come to share with us her walk with the Lord. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you with us in the studio today. I'd like you to tell us something about your childhood days. How did your walk with the Lord begin, or where did it begin? What sort of a family background do you come from?
Thank you. When I think of my childhood, I can only think of three words. One is growing in the knowledge of Christ.
Wow. Mm.
And another one is prayerful life. Prayer, importance of prayer. And thirdly, to be humble. And
Awesome.
all these three were taught by my mother. And just for you to know, my second name is JUDE.
Okay.
Right, so actually it was given by one pastor's wife when I was born. So I don't know, maybe it was prophetic that much of my ministry or walk with God would involve prayer, and that started in childhood. So I was taught by my mother to pray. And incidentally, my mother is a very prayerful person and great grandmother. They used to pray for us. Mm-hmm. So I really feel that God had ordained me to come into this family, and that's how much I know about the importance of my walk with God during my childhood.
So it's like generation after generation you've been a family that has been walking with God.
Yes.
So right in your young age you've been observing people walking with the Lord, and that has been imbibed in you.
Yes.
And well, for the viewers who don't know what Kumari means, Kumari is a princess, and Jebam in our local dialect Tamil means prayer. So God had already ordained her to be a princess in prayer. So God bless you for that. And well, from what age do you actually remember seeing your mom pray, or your grandmother, great grandmother, pray? And when did you actually start praying? And how did you ever, realize that there was somebody up there listening to you? Or how did all those thoughts actually come into you?
Sure. Maybe at the age of 5.
Okay.
It so happened we were living in Hyderabad.
Okay.
And it so happened my dad had to be transferred to Delhi. And at that point we were all in school, my siblings and me. And so it would have been very difficult to shift to Delhi. And so my mother came and told me, now the choice is Dad will be in Delhi and we'll live here. And would you like it? So I told at that point, no, I want him to be here. Then she taught me that you need to pray. And I very vividly remember there's a trunk box in front of which I knelt down and I prayed. And maybe that was my first experience, my mother guided me to pray. That, you need to pray and get. And right enough, by God's grace, my father's transfer was also cancelled. He got the promotion, plus the transfer to Delhi was stopped.
Wow, that's amazing. So right at the age of 5, you learned how to pray, and you learned how to receive your answer from the Lord.
True.
So that's really amazing. And how many siblings do you have?
I have one brother and one sister,
Okay.
both older to me. And they are also very prayerful. And one thing I would like to share is the power of mother's prayer. The brother immediately before me, he was not very much in the Lord. And he was very, he was involved with friends who were not very correct for him. And so my mother used to, pray consistently for him. He used to get all of us into trouble any number of times. So, she used to pray and pray and pray. My father would not like him because he was like this. But my mother would always support him and pray. And every time she prayed with tears. And at one point, he gave up everything.
Wow.
All his friends. And he came back into the family. And that's when, we realize how much a prayer can do, especially a mother's prayer. And to tell you what he is or who he is now, he is doing very well by God's grace in Hyderabad. And he is the one who prays in the family prayers.
Okay.
And he's so actively involved in church. And that's such a blessed feeling you get when you see one brother who is not, tuned in or living for the Lord, and he being brought into the family and also to know Christ. And that is something which I want to share.
So you've been seeing miracles happening right inside your house, and total transformation of a person is, I mean, like nobody can do it except the Lord. So you've always been living, watching testimonies, live testimonies, miracles, signs and wonders. So I think you're very blessed that way. So as you grew up, maybe you came into the teens and you would have had friends who, would not have been in line with what your thoughts were, the way you were going. But how did you deal with all your friends?
Yeah, so growing in school and through college, as you truly pointed out, it was not any Christian friends I had. Literally no Christian friends at all. But what they would see is the discipline in life, which I can owe to my mother, and going to church, prioritizing church, and speaking the truth, and going to college every single day, not quitting or just sitting at home. In fact, if I take one day leave, they would all come and ask me, the entire class would come and ask me why you were not there yesterday. So that was so prominent, like it was maybe, I don't know at that point, maybe that would have caused them for them to see that like I was being brought up in the way we should be brought up, with the character and prioritizing God, worshipping Him. And of course I went through like any other Christian family, Sunday school, and then going into youth fellowship, and so in all this I had gained the knowledge of Christ and was rooted and founded in Him, which definitely helped me to, I did have struggles, to come over those struggles. That had been my anchor.
So your friends found that there was something absolutely different in you. You stood out in the crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah, so since Jesus was with you, so you made that difference. But when you were praying and when you were seeing such signs, miracles and all that, has it been, that you heard an audible voice, or did you have visions where you saw Jesus? Did you have any such experience in your life?
No, at that point, not much. What happens is when, this is something which, in fact, my son told me. He said, we always go into Sunday school, then we are pushed into youth fellowship, and sometimes we don't, imbibe it. It's just like, your passion for Christ, and you keep moving, running, and there is nothing like, you sit back and allow God to speak to you. Okay. Or, that doesn't happen much. It is more of you want to do something and you are doing continuously. So that part never, I never thought of that in those lines. So in fact, my son was telling me, only today I know that Bible is so practical. It needs to be lived. That we need to walk as Jesus walked. So that is something which maybe I missed out in my early years. I was not maybe focused on that part, and that didn't happen.
Okay, but I think now that you spoke about your son, just like you said, your great-grandmother, grandmother, your mother influenced you.
Yes.
So he must have also seen a prayerful mother. So today he must have been so influenced by you that he's literally carrying the legacy down there, and
True.
It's awesome to listen to it, especially when your kids come back and tell you something, and something so positive. It really it delights us quite a bit. And okay, now that you told me about your college days and things like that, after college, how did your life go, and where did you take off? And because you've been working, you were even working in a bank, and then you have been working with students. So as far as your work spot was concerned, how was it there, and how could you imbibe Christ in those places?
So, as you rightly pointed, I was working in a bank, and it was in Bangalore. I couldn't get a transfer. So, this was the first step of walking in faith, because I had to make a decision, quit that job and then take teaching profession. And this teaching profession was not permanent, so I did take that profession based on God's lead and putting my trust in Him, because the family was here. Priority was family. My priority was also to obey, like my father-in-law, who was very keen that I be a teacher rather than working in bank. So that's how. And also I would like to say that God keeps people here and there for your counsel. And they might not be Christians at all. there was this one lady who took so much of care, like her own daughter. She was head of the department of botany, and she was the one who pushed me and told me, you have to work here in this college, and also make sure that you will study further and you become a permanent faculty here. So she had, every step. So even now when I look back, I always tell her, I said it was God who first, decided that I should come and teach. And I always tell her, it is your, effort which has helped me to come. And that's how I started my career in a college.
Okay, that's really nice. So God places those kingdom connections in the right place. So every decision you've taken in life, you've gone very prayerfully.
Yes.
And you've always prioritized your decisions. So when it came to family was first. So because of that, you were willing to give up a permanent job and take the risk of a temporary job here, and it's nice. So anyway, God blessed you for the right decisions that you took based upon Him, trusting in Him. So He never puts us down when we trust in Him. So as far as your career was concerned, you moved from Bangalore to the city of Chennai for the sake of your family, and you started working here. But it would have been a great contrast, you working in the bank and you working as a teacher. So how did you, how were you able to bridge this and settle down to be a teacher?
Yeah, I think I had a passion to teach.
Okay.
So I don't know, most of us do that when we play make-believe schools, we pretend to be teachers. So I was doing that when I was a child. And then I used to take classes for VBS. So that's all I knew about teaching when I entered. In fact, when the vice principal called me and she said, do you have any experience of teaching earlier? I was so naive. I told her, yes, I've taught in a vacation Bible school. So she smiled and she said, okay, nevertheless, you'll have to do trial teaching. So in a live class, students are there and you do trial teaching. And by God's grace, I was able to teach first year, second year, third year, all on one day. And it's really God's grace, and I know His mercy. So I was able to, that's how it got into the college. So maybe underlying there was a passion to teach and ability to speak. So the transition was not too difficult for me.
So maybe that was an inborn talent that God had given you. And you would have thought that you were just playing, with your toys, teaching them there. And maybe it was one step further when you went into VBS. But it's awesome to see the way God prepares us. The seed that He puts into us bears fruit in its time.
Very true.
So sometimes we just take it like, it's just like a play thing or something like that. But, you're doing a small ministry for the Lord in your capacity, but it's actually a training ground. So everything that we go through in life is a training ground where God keeps training us, and ultimately we achieve what He wants us to achieve in our life. So now that you moved into this teaching field, you told me about a person who was mentoring you there. But how was it with the other staff around you, and what impact could you make on the staff out there?
My impact was that I would work sincerely and without quoting any reasons or avoiding work. So I was able to work under 5 heads of the department.
That's difficult.
Yeah, and all the 5, I was able to contribute so much when they were working, be of help to them. So I don't know, God never put God gave me the spirit to be obedient to the higher authorities. And every time college says, I don't know how many courses I would have attended, training programs I would have attended, Bangalore, Delhi, they've sent, and I've never said no. It has always been, going, and because that was my priority after family. So I used to go diligently to all these things. And as you rightly pointed out, I think all these adds up as a training ground for you. At that point, I didn't realize. But then now, afterwards, later in the years, I was able to realize that because I worked with so many people, I was exposed to so many things. I knew how to handle situations. So that was something which, I realized much later in life. But at that point, when it was happening, it was daily affair, doing how it should be done, being sincere, diligent and dedicated.
So when you're talking to me about, you working under so many heads, I just remember Daniel in the Bible. So although he was a slave and working under 3 different kings, since he was sincere in what he did, his work was blessed. So I think the Bible also tells us that we need to be sincere in what we do, and we need to do everything as to the Lord. So I mean, like, it's really been imbibed in you that whatever you do, you need to do it as to the Lord. So that's exactly how you were able to manage so many heads of departments, and it's not,
Praise God.
all that easy to manage them all. So as far as your staff were concerned, now this was your testimony. Now when it came to the students, what was it?
Yeah. Students, I did have an opportunity to teach scripture for them. So that was one ground where I could sort of influence them or maybe expose them to Christ. And secondly, it is the way in which you deal with the students. So you need to be kind, you need to be firm, and there were not much incidences where I could share directly. But every time a girl would come for her birthday to offer sweets and ask for blessing, I put my hand on her and I will say a silent prayer in my heart for the girl. I said, Lord, this is a soul. I want somehow this soul to come to you. So I took that as an opportunity, and of course giving them enough counsel, that was something where I could make an impact on them. There were many students who really needed counseling. So at that point, those were times when I could tell them how important it is to honor parents, honor God, and things of that sort.
So I think God has given you an opportunity, to not only minister within your family or your work spot, but in different places as well. So it was so nice that you were sharing all these things with us. So we would meet you in the next episode to listen to much more from you. So viewers, I think you would have enjoyed listening to her journey from when she was a child, how she walked with God, until the point where she's come to the college as a lecturer, dealing with students, dealing with staff and parents and things like that. So we would meet you in the next episode where she will continue sharing her walk with God. And I know her walk will impact not only you, impact me also and the others who listen to this. And definitely, as an Enoch generation, we too would walk with God and one day walk off with Him. God bless you all.
இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே. இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே. காலை முதல் மாலை வரை என் இதயம் தேடிடுதே. காலை முதல் மாலை வரை என் இதயம் தேடிடுதே. நேசரின் முகத்தை பார்க்கும்படியாய் என் உள்ளம் வாஞ்சிக்குதே. நேசரின் முகத்தை பார்க்கும்படியாய் என் உள்ளம் வாஞ்சிக்குதே. இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே. துன்பத்து நாட்களிலும் சோர்வுகளின் மத்தியிலும் இன்பத்து நாட்களிலும் நேசரின் சத்தத்தை கேட்கும்படியாய் என் செவிகள் திறந்திடுதே. நேசரின் சத்தத்தை கேட்கும்படியாய் என் செவிகள் திறந்திடுதே. இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே. கண்ணுறங்கும் வேளையிலும் விழித்திருக்கும் போதினிலும் கண்ணுறங்கும் வேளையிலும் நேசரின் மார்பில் சாயும்படியாய் என் இதயம் ஏங்கிடுதே. நேசரின் மார்பில் சாயும்படியாய் என் இதயம் ஏங்கிடுதே. இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரக்கத்தின் தேவன் என் மேல் மனம் இறங்கும். இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே. இரவும் பகலும் கதரும் சத்தத்தை கேட்டிட வாருமே.